GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 71, or part 2 of My Wife is in the 1%. Hi, I'm Jeff Edwards, your host. Glad to have you here. Now today, we'll have a discussion about my education of what happens when your wife's brain encounters an amyloid-clearing medication, with lessons I learned about doctors and hospitals. And we're also going to hear about bad habits that can hurt your brain. Hey, did you know September is World Alzheimer's Awareness Month, with September 21st being the day the organizations worldwide make global efforts to raise societal awareness and challenge stigmas associated with Alzheimer's disease. Now, this wouldn't be GutPunched if we didn't go over our tenets or rules. The tenets we follow at GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers are simple. Number 1, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? And number 2, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. Number 3, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need, and then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists, start at the top, keep going till you get what you need done. You'll find it very helpful. Number 4, create a help signal. Identify a cue or phrase to confirm your loved one is comfortable with receiving help, and that's in reference to outside help, not your family. Number 5, caregiving. Love or hate it. It will be your life till it's not, so give it your all. Now, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. Please leave us a 5-star review. Help us grow and share this podcast with others who have someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, that you would let them know about this podcast. They may need the information and resources. There is help and hope out there for everybody. You just must know where and how to find it. That's why we're here. Well, in part 1 of My Wife is in the 1%. We discussed the details of actually what happened. And this, part 2, are some of the lessons that caregivers might find useful. And I wish I had known this stuff before. So let's get to it. I don't know how often you've had to call an ambulance for somebody and then race up to the hospital to find out where your loved one is. Obviously, it's the ER. But do you know the rules or procedures? I sure didn't. There's a lot of commotion going on, and you try to figure out what to do. They'll ask you questions, rapid fire from all directions. In my case, I relayed that I didn't know if it was a stroke my wife was having, or was it ARIA-E, the nasty side effect of an amyloid-clearing drug. Why? Because some of the side effects of this drug mimic a stroke. I found that the people in the ER were not familiar with the amyloid-clearing drug. That was something the neurologist said to me later on in this whole process. I really can't say none of them in the ER knew about this drug, but it wasn't apparent that they did. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on the podcast, but you must wonder how much re-education goes on in hospitals. I'm sure someone will get in my face and tell me about it, and that would be good, though, as I would learn how hard a job it is. So the neurologist who caught my wife's case told me that the doctors are just finding out about some of the new Alzheimer's drugs and how to combat the nasty reactions. And that's good to know. And why is that? Well, is it the doctors, the hospitals, or Big Pharma? I don't know, but I wish I did. In our case, they put my wife into ICU. When that happened, I left the hospital to go home and take care of the dog and grab some things I thought we would need and head back to the hospital. When I checked in, they told me the room they said she would be in was changed. I thought, uh-oh, what now? When I got up to the room she was in, I introduced myself to the nurse, and she explained that they had moved my wife to this room because there were more nurses available to work with her. They had her on a round-the-clock hourly plan. Wake her up, check the vitals, see if there's any improvement. And that's a good thing. They did this for the first 36 hours. But she was getting attention that was needed, and that's a good thing. The nurses were spectacular. I didn't see a doctor anywhere, so I stayed till it got late and headed home to take care of the dog and get some sleep. I had a lot of things to do. Next morning, I did my due diligence and got to the hospital about 8:30. And when I got there, my wife was awake and said that a doctor was in early, about 6:30 a.m., and he told her some things. Me. Okay, what was his name? Her. I don't remember. Me. What did he tell you? Her. I don't remember. Me. Well, that's interesting. Did he leave any information? What was his name? Given that she was heavily medicated, can you expect to get an answer? So there I was, in the dark again. I had to find a nurse to fill me in. The doctor that came in that morning was the neurologist, and I had missed his phone call, but he left a callback number, so I called right back. He was just boarding a plane, but he took the time to explain things to me. That was a good thing. At least I had an idea of what we're dealing with. Same thing next day, doctor with early morning visit, 6:30-ish. My wife still didn't comprehend anything he said. I had no other contact with any of the other doctors after that. And did I tell you the nurses were spectacular? Every one of them. They went out of their way to keep me informed, and I asked a lot of questions. On the 5th day in the hospital, a doctor finally comes in while I'm in the room. Holy moly, I think. He says that I might consider having my wife get a spinal tap. Did she really need it? Would it help her? Well, he says, we just wanted to rule out meningitis or encephalitis. But was it imperative? Well, no, but I said, let me think about it. I know what a spinal tap is, and in this case, I thought it was risky, and my risk factor was in the negative column already. So I reached out to a couple of docs I know, and they all said we should avoid it. So I told them no, but they failed to write that down. They had a PT person come in twice to work with my wife, and she made progress each day. But by now, my wife keeps telling me she wants to go home. Did you know they have case managers at the hospital? I didn't know that. It's one of the many things I didn't know. The nurses gave the person's name and called him for me. When we finally connected, he said he'd send me a list of rehab facilities that my insurance company would approve. My wife would need more physical therapy. They gave me 15 to choose from. Great, I thought. Wrong again, doofus. I wouldn't put my dog in any of these places. We opted to do in-home PT for my wife, and that will be our lesson in our next podcast. And again, my wife keeps saying, I want to go home. I told her I thought it would be on Saturday, but because they never wrote down that we declined the spinal tap, they were holding us up. So Saturday arrives. The nurses say they're waiting for the doctor. Which one? I don't know. Finally, about 2 p.m. that day, I got a call from a doctor whom I've never met or spoken to, and he said they wouldn't release her because I hadn't decided on the spinal tap yet. Hello? I said no again. He also recommended sending my wife to a rehab facility. I said no. We would do home health care for that. He said he disagreed, but he would sign the release. And it was just about 3 p.m. when we finally left the hospital to head home. Now, in summary, I tell you all this because in between the lines are some of the lessons I learned, and I wanted to pass them along. Lesson number 1. Make sure you have a list of your loved one's medicines, multiple copies if possible, so you're not guessing when you're in the ER and being asked by doctors and nurses in such a critical time. Lesson number 2. Make sure you have a notepad and pen or pencil so you can take notes on everything that goes on. You're not going to remember all of it as time flies by. Lesson number 3. We're not expecting things to happen or go wrong, but inevitably they will occur. Know who you can call to take care of a pet if you have one, or the house while you're at the hospital. Have a go bag pre-packed just in case, with just basics, as a situation arises. It will save you time and stress on the backside. Lesson number 4. Make sure you give your phone number to the nurses that are taking care of your loved one. If a doctor comes by to see the patient, the nurses can give the number to the doctor, and maybe they'll call you. Also ask nurses as soon as you can who the doctor is that your loved one will be seeing, and get a contact number for them. It does no good for a doctor to come and talk to the patient who can't remember a conversation. Lesson number 5. Find out as soon as you can who the case manager is and get a number for that person. It will save time on the back end and you'll be able to start planning steps ahead. Lesson number 6. Although we don't like to think about what's to come with our loved one who has Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, it's really a good idea to think about it and start planning for unforeseen events. That goes for every aspect of what will be needed in the future as the disease progresses. I now know most of the issues I faced in our situation, but I had no clue about it before. It's not like we go to the hospital all the time. But going through it has taught me to plan better and be better prepared. Talk to other caregivers, compare notes, see how they solve the problem. I just realized I tapped into 3 of our tenets or rules. Number 1, 2, and 3. In the next episode, we'll hear about my education with in-home physical therapy and insurance companies.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever. Because now we have treatments that could change everything. But now is no time to stop. Now we've got momentum, so now we use it. Now we seize the moment. Now we turn the tide. Now we make a difference and make some noise. Now is the time to get up, get out, and join the movement. At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, held in over 600 communities nationwide. And we need you with us. Because now is the time for hope. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Bad habits that can hurt your brain, from WebMD. You miss out on sleep. You do a few things you know you shouldn't. We all do. But some of those bad habits can take a toll on your brain. For example, lack of sleep may be a cause of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. It's best to have regular sleeping hours. If you have trouble with sleep, avoid alcohol, caffeine, and electronics in the evening and start a soothing bedtime ritual. Next, you have too much alone time. Humans are wired for social contact. It's not about how many Facebook friends you have. What matters is a real sense of connection. People who have that with even just a few close friends are happier and more productive. They're also less likely to suffer from brain decline and Alzheimer's. If you feel alone, call some friends or start something new. Salsa dancing, tennis, bridge, pickleball. That involves other people. Next, you eat too much junk food. Parts of the brain linked to learning, memory, and mental health are smaller in people who have lots of hamburgers, fries, potato chips, and soft drinks in their diet. Berries, whole grains, nuts, and green leafy vegetables, on the other hand, preserve brain function and slow mental decline. So next time you start to reach for a bag of chips, grab a handful of nuts instead. You blast your headphones. With your earbuds at full volume, you can permanently damage your hearing in only 30 minutes. But it's not just your ears. Hearing loss in older adults is linked to brain problems, such as Alzheimer's and loss of brain tissue. This may be because your brain has to work so hard to understand what's being said around you that it can't store what you've heard into memory. So turn it down, no louder than 60% of your device's maximum volume, and try not to listen for more than a couple of hours at a time. You don't move enough. The longer you go without regular exercise, the more likely you are to have dementia. You're also more likely to get diabetes, heart disease, or high blood pressure, all of which may be linked to Alzheimer's. You don't have to start running marathons. A half hour in the garden or a brisk walk around the neighborhood will work. The important thing is to get at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise each week. Here's another one. You still smoke. If you can shrink your brain, and that's not a good thing, it makes your memory worse, makes you twice as likely to get dementia, including Alzheimer's. It also causes heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and high blood pressure. Here's the next one. You overeat. If you eat too much food, even the right kind of food, your brain may not be able to build a strong network of connections that help you think and remember. Overeat for too long and you may get dangerously overweight, which can cause heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure, all linked to brain problems and Alzheimer's. And you stay in the dark too much. If you don't get enough natural light, you may get depressed, and that can slow your brain. Research also shows that sunlight helps keep your brain working well. And this was medically reviewed by Puham Sutchev and Jennifer Robinson, MD, on July 5th, 2024. From WebMD, Bad Habits That Can Hurt Your Brain. Just a reminder that the dates for the Alzheimer's Walk for Life in Southwest Florida are Lee County, November 8th, and Collier County, November 22nd. And for around the U.S., you can go to alz.org and click the link that will give you dates and locations for where you can participate. It's a great thing to do. For more information, reach out to the Dubin Center at dubincenter.com. And you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org. Also, to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit or call their toll-free hotline at 1-800-272-3900. That's 1-800-272-3900. We mention the guide frequently. It's another great resource and provides help and respite care. It's probably easier to just Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. And Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners website is https://healthspansouthwestflorida.com. Check out GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers group on Facebook. I'd like to thank all those who help and contribute each week to build this podcast. I couldn't do it without you. Our website is gutpunched.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com or jeff@gutpunched.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.